I've been told that cybersecurity is a myth and privacy is a thing of the past.
Well, I mean, I certainly think cybersecurity is not a myth. It's something we need to have. And I don't know that I would say privacy is a thing of the past, but the way we think about it maybe has to change. It's no longer a matter of keeping your information secret or hidden because too much information gets out there. It's now a question of what control do you have about your personal data, even when it's in somebody else's hands. For example, the private sector. You know, do you have a right to say you can use it for this purpose, but you can't use it for that purpose? And I think that's really the new frontier of where we're going to be dealing with these issues in managing data, which is the issue of personal control versus the desire of people to monetize or use your data for their own purposes.
So I know a lot of people are worried about their Amazon Echo and their Google Home and their personal data, as you say, but why do I care that Amazon knows that I like to listen to country music?
Well, no one piece of data is usually that important, but what I think people miss often is that all the data gets collected. For example, it may all be uploaded to the cloud, and the cloud provider may have the ability to look all across the various accounts for things involving you personally. Or it may be there are data brokers who are selling the data. So that although you're listening to country music may be only one small aspect of your life, if you combine it with things like where you shop, what you buy, what kinds of clothes you have, what you read, what you search for on the internet, and things of that sort, it may give a very granular picture of the kind of person you are. And one of the things we saw with the Cambridge Analytica scandal was that, for example, political consultants use this kind of data to try to manipulate people and target them with particular ads that are tailored to scratch a particular itch that somebody has. And that starts to become very manipulative and even coercive.
But that's what Madison Avenue has been trying to do for the last 50 years.
Well, that's right. But now imagine, for example, that an employer looks at this stuff and says, you know, I don't really want to promote this person because there are aspects of what they do that make me uncomfortable or I think are not reliable. This is what the Chinese are talking about with what they describe as a social credit score. We're analyzing who your friends are, what you do, what your recreation is, what you read, how healthy you are, becomes part of whether you are viewed as a good citizen or not, and then that affects what kinds of jobs you have, what kinds of residence you can get, what your educational opportunities are. And that starts to make George Orwell's 1984 look like a Mother Goose. It becomes much more coercive and manipulative.
Also, some people say, I'm just going to get off Facebook. I'm going to get off Twitter. I'm not going to be on social media. Well, then that's a whole other issue because if you're not out there, employees, people don't know you exist and say, oh, there's something wrong with you. You don't have a Facebook account.
Well, and that's a great point because often what the social media platforms say is, well, look, you have a choice. You don't have to agree to the terms and conditions. But the question is, do you have a choice? If, in fact, you have what is, in effect, a monopoly of a certain kind of platform, then you may not really have the option not to participate because it may be the way your employer communicates with people or your university gives you guidance about how to be a student. And so when you agree then to surrender your data, it's not agreement that's based on free will, but it's based on the fact that you really are being compelled to do it. And I think that's another issue we need to talk about. How do you get real consent and not something that's actually where you have your arm twisted?
Exploding Data is the name of the book. Michael Chertoff, our guest for a couple more minutes. He was Director of Homeland Security. Michael Chertoff, I want to ask you about this Wall Street Journal story where the Department of Homeland Security has released information saying that hackers from state-sponsored groups in Russia were able to hack into utility systems and had the ability to throw the switches. This report coming out in the last 24 hours. What do you think when you hear something like that?
Well, I have to say this is exactly what happened in the Ukraine in the last couple of years over Christmas time, where Russian hackers got into their electric grid and were able to shut the lights off by manipulating what they were able to do online. So I'm not shocked at this. It's concerning, obviously, that when a foreign power looks like it's putting malicious tools into our electric grid or our critical infrastructure, and I think that indicates the nature of the kinds of threats we're dealing with.
Do you think President Trump knew this when he met with Vladimir Putin?
I can't answer that. But I think that the intelligence community, in all likelihood, has been briefing about the threats that we face from foreign powers, including Russia, which are not only directed at our election, but also directed at our critical infrastructure.
Do you think Russia wanted us to know that they broke into our utility companies and wanted us to know they could have turned off the lights?
You know, that's an interesting question. There is a theory that the Russians are sometimes noisier than they need to be because they want to send us a message. It's not only that they're in our critical infrastructure, but they want to let us know they're in the critical infrastructure so they can have a certain amount of intimidation effect. And so that's a real possibility.
Exploding data. Michael Chertoff, last question for you. Is there hope in the future for maintaining some type of privacy online?
I do, but I think we have to rethink what we mean by privacy. I don't think we're going to be able to keep our data secret or hidden. I think what we're going to need to focus on in our own behavior and in our laws and our regulations is how do you restore to people the ability to control what's done with their data even after it's been collected.
Michael Chertoff, the book is called Exploding Data. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Good to be on.